15-second hook, narration style. It was supposed to be an ordinary night, quiet and forgettable, until the sky did something no one could explain. A glowing object appeared out of nowhere, split in two before our eyes, and vanished without a sound. What was caught on camera that night would leave experts confused and witnesses shaken, asking one terrifying question: what did we really see? The night was unusually still, the kind of silence that feels heavier than normal, as if the world itself is holding its breath. In a small town far from city lights, a group of people stood outside, some chatting casually, others just enjoying the cool air. Then someone pointed upward and said, "Do you see that?" At first, it looked like a distant star, brighter than the rest, pulsing faintly against the black sky. But stars don't move. This light did. It slid smoothly across the sky, not fast like a meteor and not steady like a plane. It drifted, paused, and then shifted direction sharply, as if responding to an unseen command. A phone camera came out, hands shaking as the person filming whispered, "That's not a plane. That's not anything I've ever seen." As the object grew brighter, the air felt tense. Some people laughed nervously, trying to convince themselves it was just a drone or maybe a trick of perspective. But deep down they knew this was different. The light suddenly stopped mid-air, completely still. Then, without warning, it split into two separate glowing orbs. There was no explosion, no debris, no sound. Just one light becoming two, perfectly clean, perfectly controlled. The two lights drifted apart, each moving in a different direction, almost playfully, like they were showing off. Someone gasped. Someone else cursed under their breath. A child asked quietly, "Is it alive?" The camera struggled to keep up as the two lights moved faster now, zigzagging in ways that defied everything people knew about flight. Then, just as suddenly as they appeared, both lights vanished. Not faded, not flew away. They were simply gone. The sky returned to normal, silent and empty, leaving behind only confusion and a pounding sense of disbelief. The person filming lowered their phone and said softly, "Did that just happen?" No one answered because no one knew what to say. That video would later make its way online, grainy and shaky, yet impossible to ignore. Viewers replayed it over and over, pausing at the exact moment the object split in two. Comment sections exploded with arguments, theories, and fear. Some claimed it was advanced military technology. Others insisted it was fake. But those who had been there that night knew one thing for sure. Whatever they saw was real, and it wasn't normal. The silence after the event was worse than the shock itself, because silence leaves room for questions, and those questions refused to go away. Part 2. The days that followed felt unreal for the witnesses. Ordinary routines, going to work, making coffee, driving familiar roads, felt hollow, like reality had cracked just enough to let doubt seep in. People who had been there kept replaying the moment in their minds, especially the instant when the object split apart. One witness, a middle-aged man named Daniel, admitted he hadn't slept properly since. "I keep thinking about how smooth it was," he said. "No sparks, no noise, just precision, like it meant to do that." His voice trembled when he spoke, not with excitement but with unease. The footage began attracting attention from researchers and investigators. Aviation experts were among the first to weigh in. They compared the movement of the object to known aircraft, drones, and even experimental military technology. None of it matched. Drones couldn't hover that high or move that smoothly without visible navigation lights. Military aircraft couldn't split into two mid-air. Weather phenomena were ruled out almost immediately. There were no storms, no lightning, no atmospheric conditions that could create such a clean, controlled visual. The mystery deepened. As news outlets picked up the story, the witnesses found themselves caught between disbelief and fear. Friends laughed it off, calling it viral nonsense. Online skeptics accused them of staging the video. That hurt more than expected. "Why would I fake something that scares me?" one woman asked. "I didn't want attention. I wanted answers." But answers were hard to come by. Each expert interview seemed to end the same way. with a pause, a sigh, and an admission that the event couldn't be explained with current knowledge. Late at night, forums filled with people sharing similar experiences. Lights splitting, objects vanishing, moments that defied physics. Patterns began to emerge, or at least it felt that way to those looking closely. Some suggested surveillance technology, not human in origin. Others whispered about intelligence beyond Earth, watching, testing, observing. The idea unsettled even the most skeptical minds. It's one thing to joke about aliens. It's another to consider that something might be out there, capable of technology far beyond ours, appearing briefly and leaving without explanation. Daniel found himself staring at the night sky more often now, searching for that light again. "I don't know what I hope for," he admitted. "Part of me wants to see it again. Another part of me hopes I never do." That internal conflict spread among the witnesses, a mix of curiosity and fear. Because once you see something that breaks the rules of reality, it's impossible to go back to believing the rules are unbreakable. Part 3. Months passed, but the incident refused to fade into obscurity. The video was analyzed frame by frame, enhanced, slowed down, and stabilized by professionals and amateurs alike. Every pixel was scrutinized. Still, no wires, no editing glitches, no obvious signs of manipulation were found. The split remained the most disturbing detail. Two lights emerging from one, moving independently, as if controlled by intelligence. A physicist interviewed about the footage admitted, "If this is genuine, it challenges our understanding of propulsion and material science." That sentence alone sent chills through viewers. Government agencies, as expected, offered little. Official statements were vague, dismissive even. No confirmed military activity. No classified tests acknowledged. That silence only fueled suspicion. People began asking harder questions. If it wasn't ours and it wasn't natural, then what was it? The idea that humanity might not be alone no longer felt like science fiction. It felt uncomfortably close. One witness recalled the emotional shift that night, how excitement turned into dread. "At first, I thought it was beautiful," she said. "Like watching fireworks. But when it split, something in my gut dropped. It felt wrong, like we weren't supposed to see that." That feeling echoed across interviews. Not awe, not joy, but a deep, instinctive fear, the kind humans have felt for thousands of years when facing the unknown. Psychologists weighed in, suggesting that the fear came from losing a sense of control. Humans rely on understanding their environment. When something appears that can't be categorized, it threatens that sense of safety. But even they struggled to explain why the event felt so personal to those who saw it. As if the object wasn't just passing by, but aware, watching, choosing when to reveal itself and when to disappear. Late-night radio shows revived old discussions about UFO sightings and government cover-ups. Callers shared stories eerily similar to this one. Lights that split, objects that vanished instantly. Too many coincidences for comfort. Skeptics still argued, of course, clinging to the idea that everything has a rational explanation. But the longer the mystery remained unsolved, the harder it became to dismiss. For the witnesses, life moved on, but something had changed forever. The sky was no longer just a backdrop. It was a question mark. Every star felt like a reminder of how small and uninformed humanity might be. And deep down, a quiet fear lingered, that whatever appeared that night could return, and next time, it might not leave so quietly. Part 4. As the story reached a wider audience, it became more than just a strange sighting. It turned into a symbol of uncertainty in an age that prides itself on knowledge. We map the human genome, send machines to Mars, and yet one unexplained event in the sky can unravel our confidence completely. Scientists debated behind closed doors, some privately admitting that the object's movement suggested technology far beyond current human capability. Publicly, they remained cautious. Admitting ignorance is dangerous when people demand certainty. One retired aerospace engineer, speaking anonymously, made a chilling observation. "What scares me isn't that we don't know what it was," he said. It's that it behaved like it knew exactly what it was doing. That statement stuck with viewers. Purpose implies intelligence. Intelligence implies intent. And intent opens a door most people would rather keep closed. The witnesses were invited to reenact the event, pointing to where the object appeared, where it split, and where it vanished. Standing under the same sky months later, one of them whispered, "It looks so normal now." That normalcy felt deceptive. The sky hadn't changed, but their perception had. Once you realize the unknown can appear without warning, normal becomes fragile. Online debates grew more intense. Believers accused skeptics of denial. Skeptics accused believers of paranoia. Somewhere in between were people who simply didn't know what to think anymore. The footage remained, stubborn and silent, refusing to reveal its secret. Each replay felt like staring into a locked door, knowing something important was on the other side. There were theories, of course. Interdimensional travel, advanced surveillance probes, experimental technology leaked by accident. Each explanation raised more questions than it answered. Why reveal itself? Why split in two? Why disappear so completely? If it was testing something, what was the test? And were we part of it? One night, Daniel stood outside again, phone in hand, recording the empty sky. "I don't know who I'm talking to," he said quietly. "But if you're out there, I saw you." He laughed nervously afterward, embarrassed by his own words. But the thought lingered. What if seeing was the point? What if being noticed was intentional? The incident became a reminder that proof doesn't always bring comfort. Sometimes it brings fear. Because proof means possibility. And possibility means the universe is far stranger, and perhaps far more crowded, than we ever imagined. Part 5. In the end, no definitive explanation ever came. The case remained open, filed under unexplained phenomena. For some that was frustrating. For others it was terrifying. The lack of closure allowed imagination to fill the gaps, and imagination is rarely gentle. The witnesses learned to live with the memory, though it surfaced often, especially on quiet nights when the sky felt too empty. What happened that night challenged more than science. Challenged belief. Faith in human superiority. Faith in understanding. Faith in safety. If something could appear, split apart, and vanish without a trace, what else might be possible? And how often does it happen without being seen? The video still circulates, still debated, still analyzed. New viewers discover it every day, experiencing that same moment of shock when the object divides in two. The same pause. The same uneasy feeling. Because deep down everyone feels it, the sense that we are not fully aware of what shares this universe with us. Perhaps it was advanced technology, far ahead of its time. Perhaps it was a rare illusion, a trick of light and perspective. Or perhaps it was something else entirely. Something that doesn't fit neatly into human categories. The truth remains just out of reach, hovering like that glowing object once did, visible for a moment before slipping away. And as long as the question remains unanswered, the sky will never feel completely silent again. Because somewhere above, beyond our understanding, something may be watching, waiting, and deciding when or if to be seen again. Final part. The truth is, the final moments of that night never really ended for the people who witnessed it. They carried it with them like a quiet weight in their chest, something that surfaced whenever the world went still. Weeks later, one of the witnesses admitted that the hardest part wasn't the fear, it was the uncertainty. If it had exploded or crashed, at least we'd have an answer, he said. But it didn't. It just chose to leave. That idea, that something had the ability to appear and disappear at will, was far more disturbing than any loud or violent ending. As time passed, the story stopped being just about a UFO. It became about humanity's place in the universe. People watching the footage asked themselves uncomfortable questions. If this object wasn't human-made, then how long had similar things been watching us? And if it was human technology, why was it so far beyond what we were told existed? Either answer suggested the same unsettling truth. We don't know as much as we think we do. Late one night, months after the incident, Daniel received a message from someone he didn't know. The message was simple. "I saw the same thing 5 years ago." They talked for hours, comparing details. The movement, pause, the split, the silence. The similarities were impossible to ignore. Different locations, different years, same behavior. Daniel realized then that the event wasn't isolated. It was part of something larger, something scattered across time and geography, leaving behind confused witnesses and unanswered questions. Scientists would continue to debate, and skeptics would continue to deny, but the sky itself offered no clarification. It remained vast, calm, and indifferent. And yet, for those who had seen the object split and vanish, the sky now felt alive with possibility. Every star seemed closer. Every strange light felt like it could be a sign. Not a threat, just a reminder that we are not the center of everything. One of the last interviews with a witness ended quietly. The camera lingered on her face as she looked upward, eyes reflecting the darkness above. "I don't think it was here to scare us," she said softly. "I think it was here to show us something. Or maybe to remind us that there's more out there than our little world." She paused, then added, "And maybe we weren't supposed to understand it yet." That thought lingered long after the screen faded to black. Maybe proof isn't always meant to explain. Maybe it's meant to prepare. To slowly open our minds to possibilities too large to accept all at once. The object that split before vanishing left no physical trace, but it left a permanent mark on the people who saw it, and on everyone who has watched the footage since. Because once you witness something that breaks the rules of reality, you can never fully trust those rules again. The universe becomes bigger, stranger, and far more mysterious than before. Somewhere in that endless darkness above, the question still hangs unanswered. Was that moment a glimpse of advanced human technology, a rare illusion of nature, or undeniable proof that something unknown is out there, watching, waiting, and deciding when to reveal itself again? And if that single moment in the sky was enough to challenge everything we believe about our world, imagine how many moments go unseen, unnoticed, or unexplained. The object that split and vanished may be gone, but the question it left behind is still very much alive. Are we truly alone? Or are we just beginning to notice what has always been there? As long as the answers remain hidden, the night sky will continue to hold its secrets, and perhaps one day it will reveal them again. Until then, keep watching the skies, because the truth is still out there.